Good afternoon YouTube and welcome back to the channel and another episode on Project R1M. Now in today's video I'm going to show you how to fit a HEL master cylinder and clutch perch on a 2016 R1M. So firstly, why should you replace the master cylinder? Well, ultimately, even though the R1M isn't a fantastic bike, carbon everywhere, Öhlins, 200 horsepower, slide control, quick shifter, more than my ability can cater for. But unfortunately, when it comes to the Yamaha R1, the brakes are a little bit of a disappointment. Now that's not to say they're terrible. The power's pretty good on the road, I would say, but even compared to much older bikes that I've owned, certainly not up to scratch to match the rest of the bike. And essentially the standard item is a Nissin master cylinder. It's machined okay, as I show later in the video. It looks identical to the one on my 2006 GSXR, and there was room for improvement, especially coming from the RC8R that I had previously, which blew this out the water for brake feedback. And I didn't need more power, as I mentioned, especially on the road. It was just, the feeling was awful. It didn't have a lot of feedback there. So ultimately, when I was on the HEL website looking for parts for the Hunegron project, that custom hose we had made from them, I stumbled across the master cylinder and I thought, do you know what? I've got to get one of those fitted, because not only does it look fantastic, but it's going to be a proper upgrade for the braking feel. So it's a dangerous thing being on the HEL website. Oh, man, I've seen the calipers as well. They do look fantastic, and CNC, they'd match the master cylinder and the clutch perch. I wonder if I could get them done in black like I've got on those, but instead of the red, having it done with the blue H. Oh, that would look pretty tasty, wouldn't it? And then the braking package, I mean, it's going to far exceed my ability in it, let's be completely honest, but I'm just looking for that feedback, that perfection. It's not so much the power, I just like to know exactly what's underneath the lever. You know, if you've ridden a Nissin Japanese standard setup versus the Italian stuff, it's night and day difference, and that for me is what I want from this bike. It needs more brake feedback. Everything else I absolutely love now, but yeah, wonder if Santa will be kind to me this year. We shall see. So it's another tropical day in the UK. Rain, 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 unfortunately. But that does mean plenty of time for tinkering in the garage. So, wow, they look incredible. I mean, got that CNC work, even the lever, oh man. And I'm gonna have to say straight away, because I'm sure there are people saying it, well, you're upgrading the master cylinder, it's a cable clutch. Why do you need that? OCD people, it would stress me out having two different levers on the bike. So I'm going to tackle the easy one first. We're going to do the clutch perch. Obviously we've got the switch built into this, so the good news is we have got the clutch switch which we'll need, even though it is, like I say, a race product. And we're just going to need to change these bullet connectors for the pin ones that are on there as standard, but we'll have a look at that in a minute. So that's the first one I'm going to do. And then we will move on to the master cylinder. What a work of art, an adjustable ratio on it. I believe it's done on the pivot point in there. I've not really looked at it greatly, I've just unboxed it. And another thing we needed is, because it doesn't have it, again being a race product, is a brake light switch, which is what we've got here. It's a hydraulic one, so when it senses pressure, it then links the circuit, giving us a brake line switch, which thankfully on the R1M is just an on and off. It's not a resistance one. So let's get going with the clutch switch. So as can be seen here, we've got the clutch switch, the two wires that we're going to need to link up to our new setup. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be heat shrink and solder, because these are pretty Mickey Mouse anyway. You can see it just wiggling about on there. Not particularly awesome if I'm being completely honest. The other good news is because I've got full length levers, I should hopefully be able to move this over a little bit. Because when I fitted the GYTR clip-ons, I'm struggling a little bit with clutch cable length, especially when you're turning side to side on full lock with the handlebars. So what I'm going to do is, because I can't be dealing with removing this grip again to slide this boxy one down, I'm going to undo it at the end, pull that off, slide that out, undo the switch gear, but leave the grip in place, which we're going to do now. Initial impressions, we're going to have a slight issue, well you'd think, with the end of the clutch cable, because this one is much smaller as stock, but ta-da, HEL one step ahead. They've got a reducer in there, so we can get that sorted. It does come with an instruction manual, which I had a quick look through anyway. Pretty straightforward. If that blows your mind, then yeah, it's probably not worth you doing the master cylinder. But yeah, let's get that all fitted up now. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me okay. The rain is coming down hard now. Good news, we've got the clutch perch on, and oh man, it looks so much better than the previous setup. Only problem we've got is we've got a lot of free play. You can wind this out, but I've probably got about 5 or 6 threads left on that, so I don't want to do a lot more on that, because if you wind it all the way out, you could damage the threads. But what we can do is jack the bike up and adjust it on the crankcase side or the clutch case side, and pull that slack out the line and get that free play sorted, because that is way too much to be riding around on. That's the clutch side complete. Nice little bit of free play there, which you saw, because you don't want it locked out so the clutch slips. Just a bit of movement in the lever, and it's pretty much maxed out. There's a little bit more on there, but it also means if we come back around this side, that I'm not maxed out on the lever, so I can do on the fly adjustment if I needed to. Obviously we've done that lock ring up there. Quick side note, first time I've taken the side panel off of an R1M, or this generation of R. Slides in here, they like lock in, lock back. Nice enough design. I think you could break something if you were impatient, so certainly take your time. And one beautiful thing is, when I took the side fairing off, didn't get any sort of gouges seen down here, because it's always a scary thing with this sort of bike, or any bike. Has it been involved in an accident before? But yeah, looks absolutely pristine. It could probably do with a little bit of my magical ACF 50 on the cooler, but I mean, look at those headers. They are pristine. Just see the bit of titanium blue there on the back. Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, let's put this back together, although I may leave it off actually, because the front master cylinder's next, save us in case we get any drips, and begin work on the front brakes. With everything unpackaged, we'll go for another quick look. So obviously we've got the HEL master cylinder, stunning, absolutely stunning, which I'm going to build up loosely in a second. We've got the brake pressure switch, the hydraulic switch, so this works in the same way that this bolt would. So if you had a racing bike, you'd run this. For a road bike, you want something like this, because when the hydraulic fluid goes through it, it will open and close the sensor, allowing the brake light switch, etc. to come on, or any other controls that are run from that switch. We've also got that sort of like, I don't know whether you'd call it like a counter up, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word, like a camshaft profile basically, but it lets you change the ratio inside there, which we're not going to play with today. We're going to try the factory fitted one first. Obviously we've got the bleed nipple cover, and then you've got the banjo that goes on for a single hose, and then some older bikes I've had in the past will run a double hose to the master cylinder, what's here, and you've got the washers to go with it too, and we've got a, looks like a spare dial in there as well. But yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of head scratching for the minute, because if I hold this up, the top thread looks like it's where the bleed nipple is going to go, and the bottom one is where the hose goes. But if you look at the original one, see if it will focus there, it's on the side, whereas this one would be on the bottom, and the hose is routed in a, can she go in there? Down there. So I'm hoping I'll be able to undo the bracket and bring it back up, but if not, probably going to have to buy another hose. So just as well it's a winter when it's like that, because I'm not going to be riding anywhere. But obviously you guys who have got an R1M and are going to go down the same route, hopefully this will give you an insight into what you need to order. But honestly, the customer service has been fantastic as well. When I spoke to Steve, they're awesome. So yeah, let's start pulling some more bits apart and see if we can get this on. So hopefully now with everything moved out of the way, you could see the hose orientation here as the end. I almost want it to go like that. I might be able to cut that cable tie and move that bracket. I'm going to have a little play off camera, and hopefully in the next clip it's sort of in position and I don't have to buy a new hose that will run down there, and then you can see it comes down there. Let's focus on that and into that block. So not end of the world, but just, yeah, something to bear in mind if I can't get this to work. I'll have a play with it now. Another successful job in the garage. As a few eagle eye may have noticed, the coolant was also a little bit low, which I've topped up, but back on track. Everything bled up. Unfortunately, the GoPro just decided in this cold weather that the battery had enough. But essentially, bled the master cylinder first, front right caliper, front left caliper, and then I did the whole lot again. I mean, that is solid lever feel now. I cannot wait to get it out on the road. So the only thing we've got to do is put the side fairing back on, give it obviously a little clean up in there while it's apart, and then just take it off the paddock stand, just roll it backwards and forwards, pull in the brake, just make sure it stops and that. So the brake light's working, which is wicked. The radius bend on that hose, to be honest with you, I'm not unhappy with it. I'm going to ask HEL about that because they probably do sell one. But yeah, you know what, it's all in there. The connections are obviously hardwired. It would be nicer to have them on a plug because winding them in and that, I had to pre-wind the cables round the other way. But what I'll do is I will try and pick up a small connector when it's back apart again, because we've got all winter now. But yeah, I just wanted to get it on today, try and get a ride out before the weather changes. Gonna have to switch back the number plate because I got pulled over last week for a small number plate. But before we finish up, this is the master cylinder off the R1 that we pulled off. And for those that say, oh, it's state of the art, the R1 latest bike, I agree. I mean, you probably can't see because the jigsaw is tucked down there, but that looks identical. If that had a part number on there, which it doesn't seem to. Oh, what's that? Maybe have a look there, see if I've got that. But It looks absolutely identical to my 2006 GSX-R 600. So certainly not a masterpiece of a master cylinder. And yeah, now it just looks proper race bike. So a big shout out to HEL. Can't wait to go and road test it now, but super coursers, wet weather, dark, cold, crumpled leaves, might not happen, but I'll try and get it in. And if so, obviously it'll be the end of this video. But if not, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, hit that like button and consider subscribing. Till next time.